Hey, everybody, this is Jimmy. Thank you so much for joining us for another segment of Meet the Candidates for Cambridge City Council and Cambridge School Committee. Our next guest, ladies and gentlemen, is running for his third term on the Cambridge School Committee. Please, round of applause, welcome the one and the only José Luis Rojas. Hello, Jose. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jimmy. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Great to see you again. Now, Jose, you're running for your third term. Okay. What do the people need to know about why a man would run for another term of Cambridge School Committee? I mean, it's a long campaign and it's only 2 years appointment, but you must be doing something right, or you must be feeling somewhat good about it. A little bit of your background and why are you running again for the Cambridge School Committee?
Sure, of course, Jimmy. Yeah, no, I've been living here in Cambridge with my family for more than 20 years. I'm originally from Mexico, but came here obviously for opportunities, and we're very happy here. I have two boys in the public schools, one in middle school and one in high school. And just my day job is working in community finance, working with small businesses across the country. But as far as why am I running again, I think, I've had the privilege to serve over the last 4 years. I think I've done a good job. I've shown that I can bring people together, have tough conversations, and move forward. One example is during COVID, during the pandemic, I headed the Buildings and Grounds Subcommittee, where we looked at the plans to bring the children back to the schools for in-person learning, and we were one of the first districts to bring our youngest learners and our neediest learners to schools sooner than most other districts. And then I've also shown that I can also stand up to groupthink. I've stood alone in a couple of votes. One of them was basically on the hiring of our superintendent. I voted against it because we didn't do a national search. So those are just examples of things that I think I'm doing well, and I hope to be able to continue doing them.
Well, tell me, what is the Cambridge School Committee doing well, and where do they need improvement?
The school committee, well, that's a great question, Jimmy. I've actually been working on, and I'm pushing for the school committee to do a self-evaluation. For as long as people know, the school committee has not done a self-evaluation. It's actually something that's considered a best practice for school committees to basically once a year look back and figure out what are we doing well and what are we not doing well. So we haven't formally done that, although I'm hoping to do that before the end of the year. Personally, I think what we've been doing well is we've been working well as a group, respecting each other, giving each other airtime, listening to each other, and which I think is a big change from past school committees. What we don't do well is that there's a lot of us that are new, so sometimes we forget about, or we don't really understand what our real role is. I mean, we're supposed to be a policy level organization. We're not supposed to be micromanaging. And while we've had some good results on the policy level, I think sometimes we've failed in trying to do too much or micromanage too much the district sometimes.
And what are the schools in general doing well, and where do they need help?
Great. Yeah, no, I was asked this question recently, and coming from Mexico, I mean, when I came to the US to study, I came in with a really good academic level relative to my other peers, but I didn't come in with critical thinking skills. Like I didn't really think beyond the question. I didn't challenge. I didn't really think beyond the box, my square box where I was happy to be in. And I think our kids in our district, they get exposure to a lot of different ideas. They're encouraged to think critically and on their own 2 feet. They have opportunities both academically and also extracurricular activities to become really well-rounded people. And I think that's one of the keys from our district. I think when our kids go out into the world, they're well-prepared, well-rounded individuals. Things that we need to...
Sorry. Yeah, no, please.
Go ahead. No, and you were saying, what are we not doing well? I mean, again, we, as a district, we have money. We're lucky to have money. We're a wealthy community, so we can invest it in our children. That said, I mean, our children still come from different backgrounds. They have different challenges, and those challenges combined with maybe improvements in the district that we need to continue doing, I mean, have resulted in not all kids taking full advantage of the education that we provide.
As you know, I'm sure that we got good grades recently in an article in the Boston Globe regarding the MCAS and how we've done coming out of the pandemic. But there's still that achievement gap, especially for Black and brown students of color,
Mm-hmm.
lower income students, lower income
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
schools, whole schools
Mm-hmm.
that are underperforming. What do you see?
Mm-hmm.
How do you hope to, or do you hope to try to
Of
reduce
course.
that, that achievement gap and level off the quality of the schools in themselves?
Yeah. So I guess systemically, I think one thing that we're going to benefit a lot is that starting next school year, we're going to have universal preschool across the city. So regardless of your income level, you'll be able to send your kids to preschool
Hmm.
at least at the age of 4, and half the students will be able to go to preschool at the age of 3, with those 3-year-olds being prioritized to for the people with the most needs. So I think having that extra year and a year and a half almost of students having future students having a base level of opportunity to exposure to words and letters and phonics, etc. That will help us bring in students at a much even level at the kindergarten level, which will eventually build up from there, right? At the same time, obviously, as we as a district need to continue working um, on being um, focusing on what we're not doing well as far as maybe not having high expectations for students, both at the administration and teacher level, so that training is working hard on making sure that we are asking for the best from all of our students. And then lastly, you talked about maybe also differences between schools that have a lot of kids that are lower income than higher income. And I think one thing we can do, and we have the data, is we've shown that some schools have models that can address those differences in opportunity gaps, and they've closed those gaps, and so we need to replicate some of those programs and apply them in those schools that are a little bit further behind than the others.
Right. Do you think there's any room or any appetite for having a more standardized curriculum for every school? I mean, my understanding
Mm-hmm.
is, and I could be off base, but my understanding is
Mm-hmm.
certain schools have different curriculums. So you can get to the high
Mm-hmm.
school and maybe not have a strong background in one of the very important subject matters moving forward in your education. Uh, any thoughts on that?
No, that's a good question, Jimmy. And I think, well, I don't agree with everything that this administration has been doing. One thing that our superintendent has been pushing is that standardization of goals and of goals of what we're hoping to get the students to get uh, out of schooling, irrespective of which school they go to, right? So they've had like a standard approach at teaching, the standard approach about measuring success of the students. And so she's really trying to, again, address some of those differences between the schools. Um, I was going to mention something else, but I'm
Right.
forgetting now.
Well, the students, I'm glad you mentioned the superintendent. Her evaluation
Mhm.
was not as good as people had hoped. And I'm sure she
Mhm.
feels the
Mhm.
same way. What are your thoughts
Mhm.
about that?
No, it's true, and obviously the evaluation is what all of us decide as a group. I mean, my personal evaluation, I probably agreed with a lot of areas where she needed improvement, but I disagreed on the overall as the overall grade that she got or evaluation that she got. But that's okay. I mean, I think we all agreed on the areas where she needs to improve. But basically, as I mentioned, I think academically she's bringing a lot of good changes to the
Mhm.
district, from the reading, coming up with a new way of doing reading, standardization across classroom across schools. And I think what she needs to improve is communication with the community, and also communication with her staff. Some of the management areas, I think, so community areas and management areas that she needs to improve. And we're working with her on coming up with a plan to improve on that, and obviously we'll continue working with her on that.
Okay. Jose, have any organizations, what, if any organizations, have endorsed your
Mm-hmm.
candidacy?
Yeah, no, I'm really excited that for the third time in a row, our Revolution Cambridge has endorsed me. So I'm very happy with that. Um, and and there's a couple of organizations that are looking to endorse me too. So I'm looking forward to their endorsement as well.
Hmm. And tell me, how is the immigrant population doing in the city of Cambridge? Are they getting the resources and the you know the preparedness that they need to further in their education? Are people happy with it in the immigrant community?
I think I would say yes and no. I think immigrant families that come in, they realize that we have a lot of resources in the city that they probably didn't have in their home country. So I've spoken to several of them, and they are very excited to be having so much support that goes beyond education, right? Schools support families beyond education in many different ways, and they're amazed at how much support they receive from the district and the city in general. And at the same time, immigrant students are part of those at risk or high risk students that are not performing as well as the rest of the students. So while they're thankful of all the support that they're receiving, I think we need to help them along with our other high need students to make sure that they perform and take as much value out of the schools as everybody else.
Right. And just on the question of immigrants, is there a way that people are being are there opportunities to learn English, not only for students, but also for parents who might just have come from another country? And I know there's many languages being spoken in the public schools in Massachusetts. Are there opportunities here in Cambridge to teach people English in a free way, so it's they can obviously achieve their potential?
It's a good question, Jimmy. As far as the schools, I mean, in the schools, we do have 3 bilingual programs where students can learn in 2 languages. So they don't learn a language, they learn in 2 languages,
Okay.
Spanish English, Portuguese English, and Mandarin English. And those schools are very helpful for those immigrant populations that speak that target language. Some of those schools in the past, I know they've had programs to similarly teach those immigrant families English after school. That's been more ad hoc. It changes year to year. But yeah, I would have to get back to you as far as that answer. I mean, I do know that Cambridge Adult Education has programs to learn English, but I don't know how well publicized or it is among the community.
Right. It seems to me that it could be a statewide program and a national program to help people learn English, because we obviously have so many more immigrants, and to our benefit, to our advantage, that we have more people. But it would seem that the more that they could be acclimated to the English speaking majority of the country, the better everybody would be off. So thank you so much for answering that question. Please, Jose, tell people, make a final statement, and where can people find out more about you?
Sure. No, I mean, I want to thank you again, Jimmy. To the public, if you want integrity, compassion, and leadership from someone in the school committee this next year, please consider voting number 1 for me, José Luis Rojas Villareal. And my website is votejoseluis.org.
Great. Thank you so much. Vote
José Luis.
JoseLuis.org.
JoseLuis.org.
Vote
Yes.
JoseLuis.org. Thank you so much, Jose. Great to see you again. Continue success. We will see you on the campaign trail. Good luck.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you.